A reminder, if you are getting unemployment in Texas, you are likely getting a big pay cut later this week. Governor Abbott is pulling Texas out of the federal $300 weekly benefit on June 26th. Now, some on unemployment are going to lose that much. Some others are going to lose their entire payment. That includes people who are eligible for unemployment only because of the expanded federal pandemic programs, and those who right now are getting federal additional weeks of benefits. The payment cutoffs will affect hundreds of thousands of Texans. The governor is canceling that extra federal money early in order to try to push more people to get back to work again. We will see what that does. You would think it might make more people look for work, but career platform Indeed.com recently found that in some other states where the federal payments were about to be ended early, the number of job searches actually declined. Now, if you are planning a job search, Indeed also found that job postings in DFW are up almost 34% from the number of openings just before the pandemic, so hopefully that'll help you land a job. I have more about this with today's post at Jason Wheeler TV on Facebook and Twitter, where we're always right on the money.